Before the night fully arrives, nature begins to slow its breathing. This change is almost impossible to notice at first. It does not announce itself. It simply happens gently as the day loosens its grip on the world. Light softens across the land, and shadows stretch longer, settling into familiar shapes. The earth prepares itself for rest, not by stopping, but by easing into a quieter rhythm. As the sun sinks below the horizon, warmth lingers briefly in the soil, in the leaves, in the surface of the sea. This stored heat is released slowly, like a calm exhale after a long day. The air cools, becoming heavier, steadier. Wind that once moved with energy now drifts with intention, choosing its paths carefully rather than rushing forward. Across forests, jungles, oceans, mountains, and plains, a shared transition begins. Nature does not sleep all at once. It breathes itself into the night. Every system responds in its own way, guided by cycles older than memory. This is the moment when the world becomes softer, quieter, and more forgiving. In the jungle, daylight sounds begin to fade. The loud calls, sharp movements, and restless energy of the day gently withdraw. Leaves that shimmered in sunlight now absorb the dim glow of evening. Moisture rises from the forest floor, forming a thin, almost invisible mist that moves slowly between tree trunks. The jungle exhales. Animals sense this change instinctively. Birds return to their resting places, folding wings close to their bodies. Larger animals slow their pace, choosing familiar paths that lead to safety and shelter. Smaller creatures retreat into roots, leaves, and earth, trusting the night to hold them. There is no fear in this movement, only understanding. Far from the jungle, the oceans respond to the fading light. Waves stretch farther apart, their motion smoothing into long, unbroken rhythms. The sea reflects the deepening sky, darkening gradually as stars begin to appear. Water cools and currents adjust with patience, guided by forces that never hurry. Above everything, the sky changes color slowly. Blues deepen into darker shades. The first stars emerge, not suddenly, but one by one, as if the night is careful not to disturb the earth below. The moon rises without sound, its light gentle and balanced, touching land and sea equally. Mountains release the warmth they gathered during the day. Stone cools slowly, preventing sudden shifts. Ice holds firm on shaded slopes, maintaining its quiet presence. Wind glides around peaks and through valleys, careful not to disturb the balance. Even in places shaped by fire and pressure, the night brings calm. Deep beneath the surface, the earth continues its steady pulse. Heat flows upward slowly, controlled and consistent. Fire rests beneath layers of stone, supporting the world above without demanding attention. This hidden energy does not disrupt the night. It sustains it. As the planet turns, darkness spreads evenly. Cities may glow, but beyond them, the natural world lowers its voice. Plants slow their internal processes. Animals settle. Water smooths its movements. Air becomes still. Nature begins its long, steady breath. This story is not about silence alone. It is about rhythm, about how the earth guides itself into rest without instruction. No signal is given. No command is spoken. Every system knows when to soften, when to slow, when to breathe out. As you begin this journey through the night, allow your own thoughts to follow the same path. There is nothing you need to hold on to. Like the world around you, you are allowed to settle gently. The night has only just begun, and nature will guide the rest. As the night settles more firmly, the jungle becomes a place of deeper listening. The air grows thicker with moisture, and the warmth of the day continues to fade from leaves and bark. Everything feels slower now, as if the forest itself has adjusted its breathing to match the rhythm of the dark. The jungle does not fall asleep. It enters a quieter state of awareness. Tall trees stand close together, their crowns forming a living ceiling that filters moonlight into soft, scattered patterns below. During the day, these leaves reached eagerly for the sun, shifting constantly to capture light. At night, they hold still. Their movement becomes minimal, conserving energy, allowing the forest to rest from its own effort. The sounds of the jungle change gradually. Loud calls retreat into the background, replaced by softer, steadier rhythms. Insects begin their nighttime chorus, not sharp or demanding, but consistent and calm. Their sounds weave together like a gentle hum, reminding the forest that life continues even as movement slows. Animals respond instinctively to this quieter atmosphere. Birds settle deeper into branches, feathers puffed slightly to preserve warmth. Their breathing becomes slow and steady, synchronized with the cooling air. Mammals that spent the day moving through dense undergrowth now choose stillness, guided by memory and familiarity rather than urgency. On the forest floor, fallen leaves hold warmth briefly before releasing it into the night air. Moisture gathers on surfaces, forming dew that clings to edges and veins. The ground cools evenly, protected by layers of organic matter that soften temperature changes. Beneath this surface, roots remain active, exchanging nutrients and water quietly, unseen but essential. The jungle breathes in cycles. As the air cools, it sinks gently toward the ground, drawing fresher air from above. This movement is subtle, nearly imperceptible, yet it refreshes the forest continuously. Wind participates carefully, slipping between trunks and vines without force, careful not to disturb resting life. Some creatures awaken as others rest. Nocturnal animals move slowly through familiar paths, pausing often, listening more than looking. Their movements are deliberate, conserving energy, guided by sound, scent, and instinct. They do not rush. Night offers no reward for speed. Above the canopy, the sky deepens further. Stars become clearer, shining steadily through breaks in the leaves. Their light reaches the forest in fragments, faint and gentle, enough to guide but never enough to wake. The moon's glow touches treetops and fades softly before reaching the ground. The jungle's internal rhythm adjusts completely now. Processes slow, but they do not stop. Plants continue releasing moisture. Soil organisms remain active. Energy flows quietly from one system to another. Rest here does not mean absence. It means balance. Far beyond the jungle, rivers carry water toward the sea with the same patience. They move quietly beneath tree roots and over smooth stone, reflecting small pieces of starlight where the canopy opens. Their flow is steady and unbroken, guided by gravity rather than force. As you imagine this jungle at night, allow its rhythm to influence your own. There is no need to focus sharply. Let details soften. Let sounds blend together. The forest does not demand attention. It offers permission to slow. The earth continues to turn, carrying this resting jungle into deeper darkness. Temperature stabilizes. Sound fades further. Movement becomes minimal. The forest breathes slowly now, aligned fully with the night. This quiet prepares the way for other landscapes to follow. Beyond the trees, open land, water, and ice respond to the same rhythm. The breath of nature moves across the planet, guiding every system gently toward rest. Beyond the jungle, the land opens gradually, and the night breath of nature carries us toward wide rivers and the quiet edge of the sea. Here, the air feels different. It is cooler, smoother, and filled with a steady calm that stretches outward without interruption. The transition from forest to water happens gently, without sharp boundaries, as if the earth prefers softness even in change. Rivers widen as they move away from the dense trees, their surfaces dark and reflective under the night sky. The water no longer rushes. It flows with patience, following curves shaped over long periods of time. Moonlight breaks across the surface in thin, trembling lines that appear and disappear with each subtle movement. The river breathes slowly, carrying the calm of the forest with it. As the river meets the sea, its rhythm merges into something even broader. The ocean at night feels endless, not because it moves more, but because it moves less. Waves stretch farther apart, their rise and fall long and unhurried. Each wave completes its motion fully before the next begins, creating a steady rhythm that feels deeply reassuring. The sea breathes in wide cycles. Water cools near the surface, sinks gently, and is replaced by warmer layers rising from below. This exchange happens silently, without visible disturbance. The ocean balances itself continuously, maintaining harmony even in darkness. Above the water, The sky deepens to its darkest shade. Stars appear clearer now, their light steady and distant. The moon rests higher, its glow soft and even, never harsh. Light spreads across the sea in broken paths, shimmering briefly before dissolving into darkness again. Nothing holds onto brightness here. Everything lets go. Wind travels over the ocean differently than it does over land. It glides across the surface, barely touching it, creating faint ripples that fade quickly. The sound it produces is low and consistent, more like a breath than a voice. Even the wind seems to understand the importance of quiet. Beneath the surface, life continues calmly. Fish move through darker waters in slow, deliberate paths. Larger creatures drift or rest, guided by pressure and temperature rather than sight. No movement is wasted. Every action is measured and efficient, aligned with the ocean's steady rhythm. Far from shore, the horizon becomes difficult to see. Sea and sky blend together, forming a single, quiet expanse. Direction feels less important here. Presence takes its place. The ocean teaches that calm does not require boundaries. It exists fully in openness. Along the coast, waves meet the land gently. Water touches sand and stone, then retreats slowly, leaving behind a thin trace of moisture that fades into the night air. This repeated motion smooths the shore over time, not through force, but through patience. Cold air drifts from distant lands, cooling the surface of the sea further. In some regions, this cooling prepares the water for change. Ice will form later, but for now, the sea simply slows, releasing heat upward in a quiet exchange with the sky. As you imagine this nighttime ocean, allow its rhythm to guide your breathing. Inhale slowly as the wave rises. Exhale gently as it falls. There is no need to count or control. The ocean already knows the pace. The earth continues its turn, carrying the sea through the night with steady precision. Tides respond to distant forces, rising and falling gradually. These movements are ancient and reliable, never hurried, never late. The breath of nature flows onward from the sea toward colder regions. The calm deepens further ahead, where water begins to transform and silence becomes even more complete. The night continues its journey across the planet, guiding every system toward deeper rest. As the night breath moves farther across the planet, the air cools more noticeably, guiding us toward regions where water begins to slow into stillness. The sea grows quieter here, its surface darker and smoother, reflecting less light and absorbing more silence. The change is gentle, never sudden. Nature prepares itself carefully for rest. Cold air drifts steadily over the water, lowering the temperature little by little. The ocean responds by releasing the warmth it held during the day, sending it upward into the night sky. This exchange feels like a long, calm exhale. The surface water becomes heavier, sinking slowly, while deeper layers rise to replace it. The sea continues breathing, wide and patient. In these colder regions, the sound of waves softens even further. Their edges blur, and their movement feels restrained, as if the water has learned how to move without effort. Moonlight stretches faintly across the surface, breaking into scattered reflections that shimmer briefly before fading. Nothing here demands attention. Everything encourages rest. Wind glides across the water with care, tracing invisible paths shaped by temperature and pressure. It does not push or disturb. It simply passes, carrying the quiet forward. The sound it creates is low and steady, like a distant breath that never interrupts the calm. Gradually, thin layers of ice begin to appear along the edges of the sea. They form slowly, almost imperceptibly, as if the water itself is choosing stillness. These first sheets are delicate and flexible, shifting gently with the movement beneath. Ice does not silence the sea. It softens it. Beneath this forming ice, water continues its quiet motion. Currents flow steadily, guiding life deeper into warmer layers where balance remains stable. Fish and other creatures adapt instinctively, slowing their movement, conserving energy, trusting the rhythm that has carried them through countless nights and seasons. Above the frozen edges, the sky feels wider and clearer. Stars shine with steady light, unfiltered by moisture. Their reflections scatter faintly across icy surfaces, appearing briefly before dissolving again. The moon's glow rests gently on the horizon, illuminating without waking. The breath of nature becomes deeper here. Movement exists, but it is subtle and controlled. Ice adjusts softly. Water flows quietly below. Wind passes overhead without resistance. Every element knows its place. Farther inland, land shaped by cold and time begins to rise. Snow settles across flat expanses and low hills, smoothing textures and absorbing sound. The Earth's surface becomes quieter with each passing moment, wrapped in layers of calm. Rivers feeding into these colder seas slow beneath thin ice. Water continues to move beneath the surface, following gentle slopes and curves. Ice forms carefully along the edges, thickening without sound. The river breathes too, adapting its rhythm without struggle. As you imagine this transition from open sea to frozen water, allow your thoughts to slow with it. There is no need to follow every movement. Let the stillness carry you. The environment does not demand understanding. It offers calm. The Earth continues its steady rotation, guiding cold, water, and air into balance. Fire remains deep below the surface, releasing heat slowly, supporting the world above without disturbance. Ice above reflects cold back into the sky. Between them, stability remains unbroken. The night grows heavier with quiet. Sound fades further. Motion becomes minimal. Nature's breath deepens into a long, steady rhythm that stretches across land and sea alike. Ahead, mountains rise where ice and stone meet. Wind traces their slopes gently, and snow settles into their valleys. The calm continues, spreading upward and outward, guiding the planet into its deepest rest. As the night breath moves inland from the frozen sea, the land begins to rise slowly, forming wide slopes and distant mountain ranges. These mountains do not appear suddenly. They emerge gradually from the darkness, their outlines softened by moonlight and drifting cloud. Stone and ice meet here in quiet agreement, shaped by time rather than force. During the day, mountains hold warmth in their surface layers, gathering heat from the sun. At night, they release it gently, allowing the temperature to fall evenly. This slow release prevents sudden change, keeping the environment calm and balanced. The mountain breathes out, steady and controlled. Snow clings to higher elevations, settling into ridges and valleys with patient grace. Each flake lands without sound, adding softness to surfaces shaped by pressure and age. Sharp edges blur. Contrast fades. The mountains become smoother, quieter, more forgiving under the cover of night. Wind moves carefully here, guided by the shape of the land. It does not rush across peaks or force its way through valleys. Instead, it curves and glides, lifting gently where slopes rise and settling where the land dips. The sound it creates is low and even, a continuous whisper that never demands attention. Animals adapted to these regions respond instinctively to the night's calm. Mountain goats pause their movement, standing still against rock faces, their bodies conserving warmth. Small mammals retreat into crevices warmed faintly by the earth below. Birds tuck themselves into sheltered spaces, trusting stone and snow to protect them. Above the peaks, the sky feels closer, clearer. Stars shine steadily, untouched by cloud or moisture. Their light falls gently across snow-covered slopes, reflecting softly rather than brightly. The moon traces slow arcs across the sky, its glow moving patiently over the land. Deep within the mountains, fire rests. Heat flows slowly through layers of stone, supporting the structure above without drawing attention to itself. This hidden warmth maintains balance, preventing extreme cold from penetrating too deeply. Fire does not challenge ice here. It works quietly beneath it. The contrast between cold air and warm stone creates gentle movement. Air rises faintly from warmer surfaces, drawing cooler air downward in response. This exchange happens continuously, silently. The mountain breathes, maintaining its internal rhythm without interruption. As the night deepens, snow settles more firmly. Sound becomes even softer. The weight of snow presses gently against rock, stabilizing loose surfaces and reducing movement. The environment feels held, supported by layers of calm. Farther along these ranges, darker shapes appear. These are mountains shaped by ancient fire, Their surfaces formed by flows of molten rock long ago. Though quiet now, they carry a different kind of presence. The Earth's inner heat shaped them, and that energy remains, controlled and steady. At night, volcanic mountains feel calm rather than dramatic. Their surfaces cool slowly, releasing warmth evenly into the surrounding air. Any faint glow beneath stone remains contained, a reminder of energy without disruption. Fire rests here as surely as ice does elsewhere. Wind adjusts its path around these shapes, responding to subtle temperature differences. It lifts gently where stone is warmer, settles where surface is cool. This movement is smooth and predictable, guided by balance rather than force. As you imagine these mountains under night sky, allow their steadiness to influence you. They do not move quickly. They do not react. They remain present, holding their form without effort. Like them, you are allowed to be still without tension. The Earth continues its slow rotation, carrying these peaks through the night. Cold settles evenly. Heat flows quietly. Wind traces careful paths. Every system remains aligned. Beyond these mountains, forests wait again, shaped by wind and protected by stone. Trees respond gently to night air, and snow begins to fall more steadily. The breath of nature continues, moving from ice to stone, from fire to forest, guiding the world deeper into rest. As the breath of nature flows down from the mountains, it enters wide forests shaped by years of wind, snow, and steady growth. These forests feel calmer at night, less defined by detail and more by rhythm. Tree trunks stand like quiet pillars, holding the darkness gently between them. The forest does not sleep suddenly. It settles gradually, as if listening for the right moment to rest more deeply. Wind moves carefully through the trees, guided by branches and leaves. It does not rush. It threads itself between trunks, lifting slightly where the canopy opens, then softening again near the ground. The sound it creates is subtle, a low whisper that blends into the stillness. Each movement fades quickly, leaving behind calm. Leaves respond gently to the cooling air. Their surfaces release the last warmth of the day, and moisture gathers along edges and veins. Dew forms quietly, adding weight that encourages stillness. Branches hold their shape without strain, bending only when necessary, then returning to rest. Animals within the forest adjust instinctively. Birds remain tucked into branches, feathers fluffed against the night air. Small mammals retreat into burrows beneath roots and fallen logs, trusting the forest floor to hold warmth. Larger animals pause their movement entirely, choosing familiar sheltered places where sound and scent feel safe. The forest floor absorbs sound. Layers of leaves, soil, and snow soften footsteps and movement, creating an environment where silence feels natural rather than empty. Beneath the surface, roots remain active, exchanging water and nutrients slowly. Microorganisms continue their quiet work, breaking down fallen matter and returning it to the earth without disturbance. As the night deepens, snow begins to fall more steadily. Each flake drifts downward without urgency, guided by gentle air currents shaped by the trees themselves. Snow settles on branches, leaves, and ground, smoothing sharp edges and softening contrast. The forest becomes simpler, quieter, easier to rest within. Wind above the canopy changes direction slightly, flowing over the treetops rather than through them. This creates a protected space below, where air remains calm and temperature stabilizes. Inside this shelter, the forest breathes slowly, conserving energy and holding balance. Above the trees, the sky feels wide and open. Stars shine steadily, their light reaching the forest in faint fragments. The moon's glow filters gently through branches, touching snow-covered surfaces briefly before fading into shadow. Light here never startles. It soothes. Farther from the forest interior, open clearings reflect moonlight more clearly. Snow-covered ground glows softly, creating pockets of brightness surrounded by deeper darkness. These spaces feel calm and safe, shaped by balance rather than contrast. Rivers running through the forest slow beneath thin layers of ice. Water continues to move quietly below, guided by gentle slopes and curves. Ice forms carefully along edges, thickening without sound. The river breathes too, adapting its rhythm to the night. As you imagine this forest breathing under snow and moonlight, allow your own breathing to follow its pace. Slow, even, unforced. There is no need to pay attention to details. The forest does not demand focus. It offers permission to let go. The earth continues its steady turn, carrying these forests through deeper darkness. Temperature evens out. Wind softens. Sound fades further. The forest settles into its deepest rest so far. Beyond these trees, the land opens again toward plains and open skies. Wind will move more freely there, carrying the breath of night onward. The story of nature's breathing continues, guiding every landscape gently toward stillness. As the forest slowly releases its hold, the land opens into wide plains where trees become fewer and the sky feels closer. Here, the breath of nature moves more freely, carried by open air and gentle wind. The transition is smooth and unhurried, as if the earth itself prefers not to wake what has already begun to rest. Grasslands stretch quietly beneath the night sky, their surfaces softened by thin layers of snow and frost. Each blade of grass bends slightly under the cold, holding still once it finds balance. Wind glides across these plains in long, even paths, touching the land without pressing against it. The sound it creates is low and rhythmic, like a distant hush that never fully fades. Animals that live in these open spaces adapt naturally to the night's calm. Herds pause their movement, standing close together to preserve warmth. Smaller creatures retreat into shallow burrows beneath the grass, trusting the earth's surface to shield them from the cold. Movement here is minimal, chosen carefully, guided by instinct rather than urgency. The sky above the plains feels vast and uninterrupted. Stars shine more clearly without the cover of trees, scattered evenly across the darkness. The moon's glow spreads across the land, revealing gentle curves and subtle textures in the ground. Shadows stretch long and soft, never sharp, never demanding attention. Wind changes direction slightly as temperatures continue to drop. Cooler air settles closer to the ground, while slightly warmer air rises and drifts away. This exchange happens constantly, quietly refreshing the landscape. The plains breathe in wide, steady cycles, responding to the night with calm acceptance. Rivers crossing these open lands move slowly beneath thin ice. Water continues its journey silently, guided by shallow slopes and gentle curves. Ice forms carefully along edges, thickening without sound. The river does not resist. It adapts, adjusting its rhythm without disruption. Snow drifts lightly across the plains, guided by the open wind. Each flake falls without sound, adding softness and weight that further quiets the land. Footprints left earlier in the day fade gradually, erased by patience rather than force. The earth smooths itself gently. Far in the distance, low hills rise against the horizon, their shapes softened by darkness and snow. Wind traces their slopes carefully, lifting and settling without disturbance. These hills hold warmth briefly, releasing it slowly into the night air, maintaining balance across the open land. Sound becomes rare here. There are no dense leaves to rustle, no branches to creak. Silence stretches farther, deeper, yet it feels full rather than empty. The plains hold stillness comfortably, offering space rather than isolation. As you imagine standing beneath this wide sky, allow your thoughts to expand and then soften. There is nothing to focus on sharply. The openness invites ease. Breathing becomes slower, deeper, guided by the steady rhythm of wind and the gentle cooling of the air. The earth continues its steady rotation, carrying these plains through the heart of the night. Temperature stabilizes. Wind settles into predictable paths. Snow continues to fall lightly, absorbing the last traces of sound. Beyond these open lands, water waits again. Lakes and distant seas reflect the same stars, responding to the same breath of night. The journey continues, moving gently from openness back toward reflection, guiding nature and mind alike toward deeper rest. As the open plains fade into the distance, the breath of nature guides us toward quiet lakes and slow-moving rivers resting beneath the night sky. Here, the world feels reflective, as if every surface is listening rather than speaking. Water gathers the calm of the land and holds it gently, allowing the night to deepen without interruption. Lakes lie still, their surfaces dark and smooth, reflecting the stars above in soft, broken patterns. Moonlight touches the water lightly, creating faint silver trails that drift and dissolve with the smallest movement. Nothing ripples without reason. The lake breathes slowly, expanding and settling in quiet cycles. Wind approaches these waters with care. It glides over the surface without pressure, creating only the slightest tremor before moving on. The sound is barely noticeable, a soft hush that blends seamlessly into the silence. Water accepts the touch and then returns to stillness, as if nothing passed at all. Along the edges, reeds and grasses stand motionless, dusted with frost and snow. They bend only when necessary, holding their shape against the cooling air. Their shadows stretch softly across frozen ground, adding depth without contrast. The shoreline feels calm and protected, shaped by repetition rather than force. Beneath the surface of the lake, life continues quietly. Fish drift slowly through deeper layers, conserving energy, guided by temperature and instinct. Plants rooted below sway gently in faint currents, their movement almost imperceptible. Even here, motion exists, but it is careful and controlled. Rivers feeding into these lakes move with the same patience. Their flow slows beneath thin ice, water sliding silently beneath frozen surfaces. Ice forms gradually along the edges, thickening without sound. The river adapts its rhythm, never resisting the night's influence. Above the water, the sky feels endless. Stars shine steadily, their reflections appearing briefly before fading again. The moon's glow remains soft and balanced, illuminating without waking. Clouds drift slowly, diffusing light and shadow into gentle gradients. Cold settles evenly across the landscape. Temperature differences smooth out, reducing movement further. Air becomes heavier, calmer, encouraging stillness in everything it touches. The breath of nature slows into its deepest rhythm so far. Sound nearly disappears here. Water absorbs it. Snow muffles it. Wind carries it away gently. Silence becomes complete, not empty, but full of quiet presence. The environment feels held, as if wrapped in layers of calm. As you imagine these quiet waters under night sky, allow your thoughts to mirror their stillness. There is no need to follow reflections or count stars. Let your attention soften. The lake does not ask to be watched. It invites rest. The earth continues its steady turn, carrying these waters through the night with precision and care. Gravity holds them in place. Temperature guides their movement. Balance remains unbroken. Beyond these lakes, colder regions wait, where ice becomes dominant and the breath of nature grows even slower. The journey continues gently forward, leading deeper into silence and rest. As the night grows deeper, the breath of nature carries us toward colder regions where water and air slow even further. The lakes and rivers left behind begin to feel distant, replaced by vast stretches of frozen land and quiet, open skies. Here, silence feels heavier, more complete, as if the earth itself has lowered its voice to the softest possible level. Cold settles gently across the landscape, never arriving suddenly. It spreads evenly, smoothing temperature differences until everything feels balanced. Snow blankets the ground in wide, uninterrupted fields, reflecting faint moonlight back into the sky. Each surface appears softened, simplified, free of sharp edges or contrast. The land rests comfortably beneath its cover. Wind moves differently here. Without tall trees or uneven ground to guide it, air flows in long, steady paths. It does not rush. It glides slowly across snow and ice, barely disturbing the surface. The sound it creates is faint and distant, like a low breath carried far away before it can be heard clearly. Ice dominates these regions, but it does not feel harsh. It forms carefully, layer by layer, allowing the land beneath to remain stable. Frozen rivers lie quiet under thick surfaces, their movement hidden but unbroken. Water continues to flow beneath, guided by gravity and warmth from deeper layers of the earth. Animals adapted to this environment respond with patience. Movement is minimal and deliberate. Creatures conserve energy, relying on instinct and memory to guide them through the long night. Many rest completely, trusting their bodies and surroundings to remain steady and safe. Those that move do so slowly, pausing often, listening more than acting. Above, the sky feels endless and clear. Stars shine sharply in the cold air, their light steady and distant. The moon rests high, its glow pale and even, illuminating snow and ice without creating glare. Light here does not compete with darkness. It complements it. The breath of nature becomes long and deep. Air cools, sinks, and remains still. There is little exchange now, little motion. Everything has found its place. Balance feels complete, unchallenged by change. Far below the surface, the Earth's inner warmth continues its quiet work. Heat moves upward slowly, maintaining stability beneath ice and snow. This unseen energy prevents extremes, allowing the surface world to remain calm and consistent. Fire rests here, supportive rather than dramatic. As time passes, sound fades almost entirely. Even wind becomes softer, less frequent. Snow absorbs movement. Ice holds firm. The environment feels suspended, held in a moment of perfect stillness that stretches comfortably across time. As you imagine this frozen landscape, allow your thoughts to settle as well. There is nothing to solve, nothing to follow. The simplicity of the scene invites ease. Breathing slows naturally, guided by the steady calm around you. The Earth continues its rotation without pause, carrying this quiet world through the deepest part of night. Everything remains aligned, balanced, and steady. The breath of nature reaches its slowest, most peaceful rhythm. Beyond this stillness, warmth will eventually return, but for now, the night holds everything gently. The journey continues onward, moving toward places where energy rests quietly beneath stone and snow, waiting without urgency. As the frozen plains stretch onward, the breath of nature slowly guides us toward regions where the Earth's hidden warmth quietly shapes the land. Beneath layers of snow and stone, energy rests patiently, never rushing, never demanding attention. The night here feels deep and grounded, supported by forces that move so slowly they feel almost still. The land begins to rise again, forming dark silhouettes of ancient mountains shaped long ago by fire. These burning mountains no longer glow or roar. They exist in calm balance, their energy contained deep within the earth. At night, their presence feels gentle rather than powerful, as if time itself has softened their edges. Cold air settles evenly along the slopes. Snow clings to rock, filling cracks and smoothing rough surfaces. Each layer adds quiet weight, stabilizing the land and absorbing sound. The mountains appear solid and unmoving, holding stillness with effortless strength. Wind approaches these slopes carefully. As it rises, it cools further, losing speed and strength. It curves around ridges, glides along valleys, and fades into stillness when the land allows it. The sound it creates is low and distant, never sharp, never disruptive. Deep below, warmth moves slowly through stone, rising from the Earth's core in measured flow. This heat does not break through the surface. It supports it. The balance between cold above and warmth below creates stability, allowing the mountain to rest without tension. Fire breathes quietly here, unseen but essential. Animals living in these regions remain close to shelter. Movement is minimal and deliberate. Creatures choose places where stone blocks wind and snow, where faint warmth lingers beneath the surface. Rest here is complete, guided by instinct and patience rather than awareness. Above the peaks, the sky remains clear and expansive. Stars appear sharper in the cold air, their light steady and unwavering. The moon drifts slowly across the sky, its glow tracing gentle highlights across snow-covered slopes. Light never startles. It settles softly, then moves on. Snow continues to fall lightly, though each flake seems to take longer to reach the ground. Air feels heavier, calmer, guiding movement gently downward. Snow accumulates slowly, reinforcing silence and smoothing the landscape further with each passing moment. Sound becomes almost absent. Even the wind pauses more often now, resting between movements. The mountains hold quiet easily, as if silence belongs naturally to their form. Nothing here asks for attention. Everything allows rest. As you imagine these mountains under the deepest night, Allow your thoughts to become as steady as the stone beneath the snow. There is no need to move forward quickly. The environment holds time gently, stretching moments without pressure. The Earth continues its slow rotation, carrying these sleeping mountains through darkness with perfect balance. Cold remains controlled. Heat flows quietly. Wind obeys the shape of the land. The breath of nature remains deep and slow. Beyond these ranges, forests and plains will reappear, shaped by wind and guided by warmth returning gradually. But for now, the night rests heavily on stone and snow, offering complete calm. The journey continues onward, deeper into the quiet rhythm of nature's breathing, where every system has slowed, settled, and found peace within the night. As the night continues its slow journey, the breath of nature drifts down from the resting mountains into valleys wrapped in shadow and quiet air. These valleys feel protected, held gently between stone walls that soften the wind and slow the movement of cold. Here, the night becomes deeper, calmer, and more intimate. Cold air settles naturally into these lower spaces, forming layers that remain still for long periods of time. The temperature changes very little now. Everything has adjusted. The land no longer shifts or reacts. It simply remains steady and balanced, allowing the night to unfold without interruption. Snow covers the valley floor in smooth, uninterrupted blankets. The surface reflects faint moonlight upward, creating a soft glow that never feels bright. Footsteps from earlier hours fade completely, erased by patience rather than force. The land resets itself quietly. Trees growing along valley edges stand motionless, their branches heavy with snow. Wind reaches them only occasionally, slipping gently over ridges before losing its strength. When it does arrive, it moves slowly, brushing branches just enough to release a few drifting flakes before falling still again. Animals within the valley remain hidden and calm. Many sleep deeply, their breathing slow and steady. Others remain awake but motionless, listening more than moving. Instinct guides them to conserve energy, trusting the night to remain stable and predictable. Small streams wind through the valley beneath thin layers of ice. Water flows quietly below, guided by gentle slopes and gravity. Ice above thickens slowly, forming a protective cover that reduces sound and movement. The stream breathes too, adjusting its pace to the stillness around it. Above the valley, the sky appears wider than before. Stars shine steadily, their light reflected softly by snow and ice. Clouds drift rarely now, leaving the sky clear and open. The moon hangs high, its glow even and calm, never shifting suddenly. The breath of nature slows further here. Air barely moves. Snow settles completely. Sound fades almost entirely. The valley holds silence comfortably, as if it was designed to contain it. Deep beneath the surface, warmth continues to move quietly through stone and soil. This hidden heat maintains balance, preventing extreme cold from disrupting the surface. Fire rests unseen, steady and reliable, supporting the stillness above. As time passes, even the faint movements become less noticeable. Wind pauses. Snow stops falling. The environment feels suspended, held in a perfect moment of rest that stretches gently across time. As you imagine this valley at night, allow yourself to feel held as well. There is no need to stay alert. The land around you is stable, balanced, and quiet. Breathing slows naturally, guided by the stillness. The Earth continues its rotation without effort, carrying valleys, mountains, ice, and water through the deepest hours of night. Every system remains aligned, responding to ancient rhythms rather than immediate change. Beyond these valleys, forests and plains await the slow return of movement as night eventually loosens its grip. But for now, everything rests fully, comfortably, and deeply. The breath of nature remains long and slow, guiding the planet through darkness with patience and care. This quiet does not feel empty. It feels complete. As the night stretches onward, the breath of nature slowly lifts itself out of the quiet valleys and drifts toward wide, open skies once more. The stillness remains, but it becomes lighter here, less enclosed, as if the earth is gently expanding its chest after a long, calm pause. The land does not wake. It simply adjusts, maintaining the same peaceful rhythm in a new form. Open fields appear again, covered in snow that reflects the faint glow of stars. The surface looks smooth and endless, free of interruption. There are no sharp lines, no sudden changes, only soft curves shaped by wind and time. The ground holds cold evenly now, no longer releasing or absorbing heat quickly. Balance has been reached. Wind returns slowly, not as motion, but as presence. It drifts across the snow-covered fields in long, shallow waves, barely lifting loose crystals before letting them fall again. The sound is nearly silent, a low whisper that fades as soon as it forms. The air feels calm and supportive, carrying stillness rather than breaking it. Animals in these open spaces remain mostly at rest. Those that move do so carefully, leaving light traces that fade quickly behind them. Their awareness is quiet and inward, guided by instinct rather than alertness. The night offers no challenge here, only continuity. Above, the sky feels vast and deep. Stars remain steady, their light sharp but gentle. The moon has shifted slightly, now casting its glow from a different angle, creating new patterns of shadow across the snow. These changes happen slowly enough that they are felt rather than noticed. Snow settles fully now. There is no falling, no drifting. Everything that was meant to land has landed. The environment feels complete, as if nothing more needs to happen for rest to be perfect. Even time itself seems to slow, stretching moments without pressure. Far below the surface, the Earth's quiet warmth continues its steady flow. It does not rise or fall dramatically. It simply remains, ensuring stability. This hidden movement supports the surface world without drawing attention to itself. Balance holds. Rivers beneath ice continue their journey slowly, guided by gravity and shape. Water moves carefully, without sound, maintaining life beneath frozen surfaces. Ice above remains firm, protecting what lies below from change and disturbance. As you imagine this wide, open night, allow your awareness to spread gently, then soften. There is nothing to focus on sharply. The openness invites release rather than attention. Breathing becomes slower, deeper, more natural. The earth continues turning, carrying fields, rivers, and skies through the quiet hours before dawn. Everything remains aligned, following rhythms that do not require thought or effort. Beyond these open lands, distant forests and seas remain equally still, breathing at the same slow pace. The breath of nature connects them all, creating a single, unified rhythm across the planet. The night continues, unbroken and gentle, guiding every system deeper into rest. Nothing rushes forward. Nothing pulls away. Everything simply remains, calm and complete. As the night breath continues its slow passage, the open fields gradually soften into distant forests once again. These forests feel different now than they did earlier in the night. They are deeper, quieter, and more settled, as if every tree has fully accepted the darkness. The air here is still and balanced, carrying no urgency, only presence. Tall trees stand motionless, their branches heavy with snow and frost. The weight encourages stillness, guiding every limb into a gentle rest. Wind rarely enters this space now, and when it does, it moves carefully, tracing narrow paths between trunks before fading completely. Sound does not travel far here. It dissolves quickly, absorbed by bark, snow, and shadow. The forest floor lies protected beneath layers of leaves and snow. Even the smallest movement is softened. Beneath the surface, roots remain connected, exchanging water and nutrients slowly, quietly. This hidden network continues its work without effort, sustaining life while allowing the forest above to rest fully. Animals within the forest are almost entirely still. Many sleep deeply, their breathing slow and steady. Others remain awake but motionless, listening rather than acting. Instinct tells them that the night is stable, predictable, safe. There is no need to move unless absolutely necessary. Above the canopy, the sky remains clear and wide. Stars shine steadily, their light reaching the forest in faint fragments. The moon has shifted further now, its glow softer, lower, spreading evenly rather than directly. Light no longer defines shapes sharply. It blends everything together gently. Snow rests completely. No flakes fall. No crystals drift. The forest feels paused in a moment that could last forever. Even temperature seems to hold steady, no longer rising or falling noticeably. Everything has found equilibrium. Streams that wind through the forest move silently beneath ice. Water flows gently, guided by gravity and shape, without creating sound or disturbance. Ice above thickens slowly, protecting the flow beneath. The stream breathes quietly, aligned with the stillness around it. Far below the surface, the Earth's warmth continues its slow journey upward. It does not challenge the cold. It supports it. This balance allows life to remain steady beneath snow and stone, ensuring that rest does not become strain. As you imagine this deep forest at the heart of the night, allow your own thoughts to become equally still. There is nothing to anticipate, nothing to remember. The forest exists fully in the present moment, and it invites you to do the same. The Earth continues its steady rotation, carrying this quiet forest toward the final hours of night. Everything remains aligned, guided by rhythms that require no effort or awareness. Beyond these trees, water waits once more, reflecting the same stars and breathing at the same slow pace. The journey continues gently onward, toward the final expressions of night's calm. As the forest gently loosens its hold, the breath of nature drifts once more toward open water, where lakes widen and slowly transform into the vast, quiet presence of the night sea. The transition feels effortless, as if land and water understand each other without words. The air grows slightly heavier with moisture, and the silence deepens into something smooth and continuous. The sea at this hour is calm in a way that feels intentional. Waves are long and unbroken, rising and falling with patience rather than energy. Each movement completes itself fully before the next begins. Moonlight stretches across the surface in soft, silver paths that shift slowly, never flashing, never demanding attention. The water breathes in wide, steady cycles. Wind approaches the night sea with restraint. It glides just above the surface, creating faint ripples that disappear almost as soon as they form. The sound is low and consistent, more like a distant hum than a voice. Even when the wind changes direction, it does so gradually, careful not to disturb the balance. Beneath the surface, the ocean remains alive yet calm. Fish drift slowly through deeper layers, guided by temperature and pressure rather than sight. Larger creatures move with effortless grace, conserving energy, trusting the steady rhythm of the water. Nothing here rushes. Everything follows the same slow pulse. Along the distant shoreline, waves meet sand and stone gently. Water reaches forward, pauses briefly, then retreats, leaving behind a thin sheen that fades into the night air. This repeated motion smooths the land over time, not through force, but through patience. Snow and frost cling to rocks near the shore, glowing faintly under the moon. Above the sea, the sky feels infinite. Stars appear sharper here, reflected faintly on the water's surface. The moon hangs lower now, its light spread wide and even. Clouds drift slowly, softening the contrast between light and dark until the horizon becomes difficult to define. Sea and sky blend into one quiet expanse. Cold air settles gently over the water. The sea releases warmth slowly, sending it upward into the night. This exchange feels like a deep, controlled breath. Surface water cools and sinks, replaced by slightly warmer layers rising from below. The ocean balances itself continuously, without sound or struggle. As the night deepens, some areas of the sea begin to slow further. Thin ice forms near sheltered edges, flexible and delicate, moving gently with the water beneath. Ice does not stop the sea. It softens it, guiding motion into quieter forms. Sound fades even more here. The vastness of the sea absorbs it easily. Waves whisper rather than speak. Wind hums softly, then disappears. Silence feels complete, yet full of presence. As you imagine this night sea, allow your breathing to follow its rhythm. Inhale slowly as the wave rises. Exhale gently as it falls. There is no need to control the breath. The sea already knows the pace. The Earth continues its rotation, carrying oceans, winds, and skies through the quietest hours of night. Tides respond to distant forces, rising and falling gradually, never abruptly. These movements are ancient and reliable, offering reassurance through repetition. Beyond the open sea, colder waters and frozen horizons await, where ice becomes more dominant and motion slows even further. The breath of nature continues its journey, guiding water, air, and life toward the deepest rest. The night remains unbroken, smooth, and steady. Everything flows gently forward, supported by balance and patience. The sea holds this calm easily, reflecting the quiet of the sky and returning it to the earth below. As the breath of nature drifts away from the open sea, it carries calm inland once more, toward coastlines where land and water meet in quiet agreement. These shores are peaceful at night, shaped by repetition and softened by time. Waves arrive gently, pause, and retreat, leaving behind smooth patterns that fade slowly into darkness. Nothing here is sharp or demanding. Everything feels rounded, patient, and at ease. Cold air settles over the shoreline, mixing with the moisture rising from the sea. This blend creates a calm heaviness in the atmosphere, encouraging stillness. Wind moves softly along the coast, brushing past rocks and low vegetation without force. The sound it carries is subtle, a low murmur that blends seamlessly with the rhythm of the waves. Snow gathers along the shore in quiet layers. It clings to stone, settles into sand, and smooths the shapes of the land. Each flake lands without sound, adding softness that absorbs movement and light. The coastline becomes simpler under its cover, easier for the night to hold. Further inland, the land rises gently into low hills and sleeping forests. Trees stand still, their branches coated in frost that glimmers faintly under moonlight. Wind traces the edges of these hills carefully, lifting slightly and then settling again, never disturbing the calm below. Animals along the coast remain hidden and quiet. Birds rest with heads tucked beneath wings, protected from the cold by feathers and still air. Small mammals retreat into sheltered spaces beneath rocks and roots, trusting the steady rhythm of the night. Even creatures of the sea move slowly now, conserving energy in deeper, warmer layers. Above the coast, the sky remains vast and calm. Stars shine steadily, their light reflecting softly off water and snow. The moon continues its slow journey, its glow spreading evenly across land and sea. Shadows stretch long and soft, blending into one another without sharp edges. The breath of nature remains deep and unhurried. Air moves only when necessary. Water flows gently, guided by gravity and tide. Snow rests fully, no longer drifting. Every system feels settled, aligned, complete. Far beneath the surface, the Earth's warmth continues to rise slowly through layers of stone and soil. This quiet energy supports the surface world without drawing attention. Balance holds firm between cold above and warmth below, allowing rest to remain comfortable and stable. As time passes, even subtle movements become harder to notice. Wind pauses for longer periods. Waves stretch farther apart. The environment feels suspended, as if held in a long, gentle moment that does not need to end. As you imagine this peaceful coastline, allow your own thoughts to follow the same path. There is nothing to plan, nothing to remember. Like the land and sea, you are allowed to remain still, supported by steady rhythms beyond your control. The Earth continues its rotation, carrying coastlines, forests, and oceans through the final hours of night. Everything remains in harmony, guided by ancient patterns that do not require awareness or effort. Beyond these shores, frozen seas and open skies await, where silence deepens even further. The breath of nature continues onward, moving patiently toward its quiet conclusion. As the night breath moves beyond the quiet coastlines, it carries us toward vast frozen waters where the sea becomes still beneath layers of ice. Here, motion slows to its most delicate form. The ocean does not stop breathing, but its breath becomes so gentle that it feels almost imperceptible. Ice spreads carefully across the surface, forming smooth, pale expanses that reflect the night sky like silent mirrors. Cold air settles evenly across this frozen sea, stabilizing the environment. There are no sudden changes here, only gradual adjustments. Ice thickens slowly, responding to temperature with patience. Beneath it, water continues to move in deep, steady currents, maintaining balance and life far below the surface. The sea rests without losing its strength. Wind glides above the ice in long, quiet paths. With no waves to shape its movement, it travels smoothly, tracing faint lines across the frozen surface before disappearing into the darkness. The sound it makes is barely audible, more like a memory of movement than movement itself. Above, the sky feels wide and infinite. Stars shine with clarity, untouched by moisture or haze. Their light reflects faintly off the ice, creating soft points of brightness that appear and fade with subtle shifts in angle. The moon hangs low, its glow pale and calm, spreading evenly across the frozen expanse. Life here adapts perfectly to stillness. Animals of the frozen sea remain mostly at rest, conserving energy in the deep cold. Those that move do so slowly and deliberately, guided by instinct rather than urgency. Beneath the ice, marine life drifts quietly through darker waters, following temperature gradients and currents that never hurry. The breath of nature reaches one of its slowest rhythms here. Air barely moves. Ice holds firm. Water flows gently below. Everything has found its place within the night's balance. There is no need for adjustment. Stability feels complete. Sound fades almost entirely. Ice absorbs vibration. Snow dampens any remaining movement. Even the wind seems to pause more often now, resting between long, quiet passes. Silence stretches comfortably across the frozen sea, uninterrupted and whole. Far below, the Earth's warmth continues its slow, steady rise. This hidden energy prevents the frozen surface from becoming too rigid, maintaining balance between solid and liquid. Fire rests beneath ice, unseen and supportive, ensuring that life can continue quietly below. As you imagine this frozen ocean beneath stars and moonlight, allow your own thoughts to slow with it. There is nothing to follow, nothing to anticipate. The simplicity of the scene invites deep rest. Breathing becomes steady, even unforced. The Earth continues its rotation, carrying frozen seas and silent skies through the deepest hours of night. Everything remains aligned, guided by rhythms older than memory. The breath of nature is calm, complete, and steady. Beyond this frozen horizon, the night will eventually begin to soften. But for now, the world remains held in stillness, allowing rest to deepen fully. As the frozen sea stretches quietly behind us, the breath of nature moves once more toward land, where ice slowly loosens its grip and the surface begins to change. Here, the night feels lighter, not because it is ending, but because the Earth has fully settled into its deepest rhythm. Everything now moves with complete confidence in the calm it has created. Low hills rise gently beyond the frozen coast, their shapes softened by snow and shadow. These hills are neither sharp nor imposing. They appear rounded and patient, shaped by time rather than force. Snow rests evenly across their surfaces, reflecting faint moonlight and returning it softly to the sky. The land feels balanced, comfortable in its stillness. Wind returns here in its gentlest form. It drifts slowly across slopes, brushing snow just enough to shift a few crystals before falling still again. The sound is barely present, a quiet whisper that fades almost immediately. Air feels settled, heavy with calm, encouraging everything it touches to remain at rest. Trees appear again in scattered clusters, their branches coated in frost that glimmers faintly under the stars. They do not sway now. They hold their position easily, supported by cold air and stillness. Snow rests along their limbs, adding weight that further anchors them in place. Animals in these regions remain mostly hidden. Many sleep deeply, their breathing slow and steady. Those that remain awake move carefully, pausing often, guided by instinct and familiarity rather than alertness. The night here offers no challenge, only continuity. Beneath the surface, roots and soil maintain quiet activity. Water moves slowly through frozen ground, guided by pressure and gravity. Microorganisms continue their work without sound, supporting life above without disrupting rest. The Earth breathes quietly here, sustaining balance without movement that can be seen. Above, the sky remains clear and wide. Stars shine steadily, their light unchanged. The moon has shifted lower now, its glow softer, spreading evenly across hills, trees, and snow. Shadows blur together, losing definition, creating a sense of unity rather than separation. The breath of nature feels complete here. Nothing needs to slow further. Nothing needs to change. Every system has found its perfect pace. Silence feels natural, not imposed. Stillness feels supportive, not empty. Far below, warmth continues its slow journey upward from the Earth's depths. It does not disturb the surface. It simply maintains balance, preventing extremes and ensuring comfort beneath snow and stone. Fire rests quietly here, patient and controlled. As you imagine these gentle hills under the deepest night, allow your own body to respond. Muscles soften. Breathing becomes slow and even. Thoughts drift without direction, guided by the same rhythm that holds the land. The Earth continues turning steadily, carrying these quiet regions through the final stretch of night. Everything remains aligned, guided by ancient patterns that require no effort or attention. Beyond these hills, forests and waters wait in equal calm, breathing at the same slow pace. The breath of nature connects them all, forming a single, unbroken rhythm across the sleeping planet. The night remains whole and unbroken, offering deep rest to everything it touches. Nothing rushes forward. Nothing pulls away. Everything simply remains, held gently within the Earth's quiet breath. As the gentle hills recede, the breath of nature carries us once more toward higher mountains, where ice and snow reclaim dominance over the landscape. The night here feels vast and serene, a place where movement is measured and deliberate. Every slope, every ridge, and every peak participates in a slow, rhythmic pattern that encourages the world to remain calm. Snow blankets the mountain surfaces in layers both soft and dense, filling crevices and smoothing jagged edges. Moonlight glances over these surfaces, casting gentle reflections that drift across the ice like liquid silver. The mountains hold stillness with certainty, their silent presence commanding patience and quietude. Wind approaches these icy heights in careful arcs. It glides along ridges, slipping through narrow passes and brushing lightly against snowdrifts. The sound it produces is soft, almost melodic, weaving through the air without disturbance. At times, it lifts loose crystals of snow, allowing them to drift down slowly, creating a delicate dance that fades as gently as it begins. Animals that inhabit these higher elevations remain mostly concealed. Mountain goats pause on ledges, conserving warmth and energy. Snow hares retreat into burrows beneath drifts, while birds tuck themselves beneath rocky overhangs, all trusting the stability and predictability of the night. Life moves quietly, guided by instinct and the steady rhythm of the environment. Beneath the surface of ice and stone, the Earth continues its slow, hidden flow of warmth. This energy rises carefully, stabilizing the frozen landscape without disturbance. Fire rests below, unseen yet essential, maintaining a balance that supports both life and stillness. The sky above these mountains feels close and expansive at the same time. Stars shine steadily, their light traveling unbroken through the thin, crisp air. The moon arcs slowly across the sky, illuminating snow and ice without glare. Shadows stretch long and soft, blending seamlessly into the landscape. Streams of water, fed by melting ice at higher elevations, move slowly beneath thin layers of ice. Their journey is quiet, measured, controlled by the contours of the mountains. Even these subtle movements align with the overall rhythm of stillness, adding a layer of gentle motion without disrupting the calm. Snow continues to settle intermittently, each flake landing with perfect timing, absorbed into the silent landscape. The mountains appear patient and enduring, teaching through their very presence that rest is both necessary and effortless. As you imagine these icy peaks at night, allow your own mind and body to align with their stillness. Thoughts drift freely without urgency. Breathing becomes long, slow, and even, guided by the calm that surrounds you. There is nothing to chase, nothing to control. You exist within the rhythm of the night. The Earth continues its steady rotation, carrying these mountains, valleys, forests, and frozen seas through the quiet hours. Everything remains in perfect balance, guided by patterns older than time. Beyond these peaks, wind and snow will continue to shape the land subtly, carrying the breath of nature toward distant forests and frozen horizons. The journey of stillness flows seamlessly from one landscape to another, a continuous thread of calm. The night remains deep and unbroken, enveloping every surface and creature in quiet, protective rest. Nothing hurries, nothing disturbs. Everything simply exists in the measured, gentle rhythm of the sleeping planet. As the icy mountains begin to recede into the distance, the breath of nature carries us toward valleys where snow-covered forests merge with gentle slopes. The night feels endless here, vast and uninterrupted, yet intimate and protective. Every tree, every rock, and every frozen stream participates in a slow, deliberate rhythm that seems timeless. Snow rests on every surface, thickening quietly and evenly. Each flake finds its place without rush, adding softness and weight that absorbs sound and motion. Branches bend slightly beneath the accumulation, holding still without strain. The forest floor beneath is hidden, muffled, yet alive with subtle movements that go unnoticed. A hidden network of life that continues quietly. Wind moves carefully through this landscape. It drifts along tree lines and valleys, brushing lightly against snow-laden branches. The sound it produces is barely audible, a soft whisper that rises and falls gently, blending into the vast silence of the night. Even when the wind swirls briefly, it quickly loses momentum, leaving the environment unchanged. Animals within the forest remain calm and patient. Deer and elk find sheltered hollows, resting in a state of gentle awareness. Smaller mammals retreat beneath snow and fallen logs, conserving warmth and energy. Birds sleep quietly in the protective embrace of branches. Life here moves with restraint, guided by instinct and the gentle rhythm of night. Streams and rivers continue their quiet work beneath ice. Water flows steadily, guided by gravity, creating subtle currents beneath the frozen surface. Ice thickens gradually along the edges, protecting the flow without resisting it. These hidden movements mirror the overall stillness, adding gentle, measured life to a landscape that feels otherwise completely at rest. The sky above these valleys is wide and deep. Stars shine clearly, their light reflected softly by snow and ice. The moon's glow spreads evenly, touching every surface without glare or contrast. Clouds drift lazily, breaking the light only in gentle, almost imperceptible ways. Space feels infinite, yet safe and close. Temperature holds evenly across the valleys. Cold is present, but steady. The earth breathes through the balance between frozen surfaces and hidden warmth beneath. Fire rests quietly below, providing stability and life without disturbing the calm above. Sound fades almost entirely. Snow absorbs movement, ice dampens vibration, and the wind carries away anything that persists. Silence here is full, complete, and supportive. It does not feel empty. It feels protective, like a blanket holding the world in place. As you imagine this peaceful forest beneath the night sky, allow your mind and body to slow in response. There is no need to act, no need to think. Thoughts drift naturally, guided by the rhythm of the environment. Breathing becomes even, deep, and effortless. The earth continues turning steadily, carrying forests, streams, mountains, and frozen seas through the deepest hours of night. Patterns align perfectly, requiring no awareness or effort. Every element, from the smallest flake of snow to the distant peaks, moves with quiet purpose and balance. Beyond these valleys, plains, coasts, and frozen oceans await the return of daylight, yet they remain in synchronized stillness for now. The breath of nature connects all landscapes into a single, unified rhythm. Night remains whole and uninterrupted, a vast, gentle presence that holds every surface, every creature, and every breath in calm, protective balance. Nothing hurries. Nothing disturbs. Everything simply exists in the deep, steady flow of the sleeping planet. As the night reaches its deepest hour, the breath of nature flows evenly across the entire planet. Mountains, forests, frozen seas, plains, and coasts all exist in perfect harmony, each landscape aligned with the subtle rhythm of the earth. The night feels complete, expansive, and unbroken, yet intimate, cradling every living creature in quietude. The moon hangs softly in the sky, casting a gentle glow that touches snow, ice, water, and stone. Its light does not glare or demand attention. It simply rests across the landscape, illuminating the night with a calm, steady presence. Stars scatter in silent brilliance above, their reflections stretching across frozen lakes and the gentle waves of distant seas. The sky and the earth blend seamlessly, forming a single, unbroken expanse of stillness. Wind flows slowly, deliberately, guided by invisible currents and the contours of the land. It moves along mountain ridges, drifts across plains, brushes through forests, and slides over frozen seas. Every movement is measured, graceful, and quiet, leaving only a faint whisper of sound before fading into stillness again. The air is heavy with calm, carrying the essence of rest across every surface it touches. Snow continues to settle lightly wherever it falls. Each flake drifts slowly, landing softly and melting into layers of tranquility. Ice holds its shape effortlessly, protecting water beneath while reflecting the serene light of the moon. Even the rivers that move beneath frozen surfaces flow quietly, obedient to gravity and time, never rushing, never demanding attention. Animals throughout the planet exist in harmony with this quiet night. From the smallest mammals nestled beneath trees to birds resting in sheltered branches, from fish gliding beneath ice to mountain creatures perched silently on ledges, every life form moves with care, guided by instinct and the steady rhythm of nature. The world is alive, yet nothing feels hurried or strained. Life flows, but gently, respecting the night's embrace. Beneath the surface of the earth, hidden warmth continues its steady ascent. This subtle energy maintains balance, ensuring that frozen surfaces do not become rigid and that water remains fluid beneath ice. Fire rests quietly below, patient and supportive, sustaining life without disturbing the calm above. The planet breathes evenly, moving through a rhythm that has existed for millennia. Time feels suspended. Moments stretch without awareness, blending seamlessly into one another. Sounds are few and far between. Wind hums softly, water shifts gently, snow drifts lightly. Silence dominates, but it is not empty. It is full of presence, a protective blanket that cradles the entire world. As you imagine this final stretch of night, allow your body and mind to surrender completely. Every muscle softens. Every thought drifts without urgency. Breathing becomes long, slow, and natural, mirroring the earth's steady rhythm. The night invites rest. It encourages release. It reminds you that there is nothing to chase, nothing to fix, nothing to control. The horizon stretches endlessly in every direction. Mountains fade into forests, forests into plains, plains into coasts and frozen seas. Everything flows together in an unbroken chain of calm. Light from the moon and stars touches every surface, smoothing shadows and creating gentle gradients that relax the eye and mind. The world feels complete, and you, as part of it, can feel complete as well. The final whispers of wind pass over the land one last time before the earliest hints of dawn begin to stir. Even as night prepares to release its hold, the rhythm remains steady and gentle. The earth continues its rotation, and the breath of nature carries on, unhurried and eternal. This night, this world, exists perfectly in stillness. Mountains, forests, oceans, and valleys, each element holds its place in quiet balance. Life moves subtly, guided by instincts older than time, while the planet itself continues in its slow, steady rhythm. Rest is absolute, complete, and unbroken. As you drift deeper into this peaceful state, allow the images of mountains, forests, seas, ice, wind, and snow to blend into your mind's eye. Let the calm of the earth seep into your thoughts, carrying away tension, worry, and hurry. Feel the comfort of the world surrounding you, steady, patient, and unchanging. The night concludes not with urgency but with gentle continuity, leaving you in a state of deep calm, ready to embrace sleep fully. Every system, every living being, every movement is held in balance, guiding the planet and you through the quietest, most restorative hours. And in this final moment of night, everything is still. Everything is calm. Everything is perfect.